Compounding is not a concept you learn once and forget. It is a force of nature, a law of the financial universe, just as gravity is a law of the physical one. It works quietly, invisibly, and relentlessly, whether you choose to take advantage of it or not. The reason so few people become truly wealthy is not because they lack intelligence or opportunity, but because they fail to respect time and the power of small, consistent growth. Everyone wants to skip to the part where the numbers explode, but compounding doesn't reward impatience. It rewards discipline, persistence, and belief. When people think about wealth, they often picture the end result: millions in a bank account, a portfolio generating six-figure dividends, or assets that pay them while they sleep. But the truth is, every fortune begins in the quiet, unnoticed years of compounding, where progress looks painfully small and where most people quit. They plant a seed and expect a tree the next month. When it doesn't happen, they walk away, telling themselves it doesn't work. But those who stay, those who continue watering, those who trust the process, they get to witness the magic that compounds slowly at first, then suddenly, all at once. The reality is, compounding isn't limited to money. It applies to knowledge, relationships, health, habits, and even reputation. The longer you stay consistent, the stronger the results become. What makes it so powerful is not just the math, it's the psychology. It teaches patience in a world addicted to speed, vision in a society obsessed with instant gratification, and faith when progress seems invisible. Understanding compounding isn't just about becoming rich, it's about learning one of life's most important lessons. The big things are built by honoring the small things. Knowing that, this video will take you through the 9 phases of compounding that money, habits, relationships, knowledge, and reputation go through to multiply and flourish. Each phase carries its own struggles, emotions, and victories. Each phase demands something different from you: belief in the beginning, discipline in the middle, and wisdom in the later stages. If you truly want to change your financial destiny and even your life as a whole, you must not only understand compounding with each phase of it, but you must also live it. Phase 1. The planting stage. Every great forest starts with a single seed. In the same way, your compounding journey begins with the planting stage. The moment you take the first step, no matter how small it feels. This stage is about one thing: getting started. Most people never make it past this point because they overthink, wait for the perfect time, or convince themselves they need a large amount to begin. But compounding does not care about size, it only cares about time. A $20 invested today has infinitely more power than $100 invested years later. The seed you plant today is not about what it grows into tomorrow, but about giving it the years it needs to multiply. The planting stage demands courage. It is uncomfortable because the effort feels disproportionate to the reward. You are giving up money, time, or energy, and the return looks insignificant. You save a few $100s, you read for an hour a day, you exercise 3 times a week. Nothing looks different at first. This is where most people fail. They stop watering because the soil still looks empty. But what they do not see is that beneath the surface, foundations are being laid. The soil is doing its work invisibly. Planting small but right is crucial. In money, this means choosing vehicles that align with your goals: low-cost index funds, retirement accounts, or even a simple automated savings plan. In habits, it means focusing on routines you can sustain, not extreme bursts of energy that lead to burnout. The key is not speed, but consistency. Plant a habit of saving every month, no matter how little. Plant a habit of reading every day, even if just 10 pages. Plant a habit of learning skills, investing in yourself, and avoiding debt. These are your seeds, and one day, their roots will run deep. The challenge of the planting stage is faith. You need to believe in growth you cannot yet see. Everyone around you may laugh at your small beginnings. You will doubt yourself and wonder if it's even worth it. But the truth is, the planting stage is where you separate yourself from the masses. The majority never start. They talk, they dream, they procrastinate. You act. That alone places you ahead of most people. And while your progress may be invisible now, one day it will be undeniable. Phase 2. The root stage. After planting comes the root stage, which is the period where your compounding is working, but you cannot yet see the results. It is the most dangerous stage because it tests your patience like nothing else. In this stage, your contributions are small, your growth looks flat, and your sacrifices feel heavier than the rewards. You might save and invest for months, even years, and feel as though nothing is happening. But like a seed pushing roots deep into the soil, the invisible foundation is forming. Roots are not glamorous. Nobody brags about the roots of a tree. They only admire the branches and fruit. But without roots, there is no tree. The same is true for wealth. This stage is about building the habits, systems, and discipline that will protect your future growth. When you automate your savings, stick to your investment plan, and resist emotional decisions during market ups and downs, you are building roots. When you sacrifice a little comfort today for financial security tomorrow, you are building roots. The emotional danger here is quitting too soon. Because growth feels invisible, many people abandon the process. They stop investing because the numbers are too small. They stop saving because it takes forever. They break their habits because they don't see results. But compounding works like a slow burn. It demands silence before the explosion. If you rip the seed out of the soil to check on its progress, you kill it. If you abandon your system too early, you never give compounding the time it needs. Financially, the root stage is where habits matter more than returns. Whether your investments grow by 5% or 10% annually is less important than the fact that you are consistently adding to them. This is also the time to protect yourself from threats, avoid unnecessary debt, resist get-rich-quick schemes, and focus on the long term. The discipline you build now will protect you later when your wealth becomes significant. The beauty of the root stage is that although it feels invisible, it is the most powerful foundation you will ever create. Your habits, mindset, and discipline are your roots. Without them, even if you make money, you will lose it. But with them, your growth becomes inevitable. The question is, can you endure the silence? Can you continue watering when everyone else stops? Those who can graduate to the next stage, where growth finally becomes visible. Phase 3. The sprout stage. The sprout stage is the first time you actually see signs of life. After all the planting, watering, and waiting, something breaks through the soil. It is small, fragile, and unimpressive compared to the tree it will one day become, but it is visible. And that visibility is powerful. It proves that the system works. For many, this is the moment of validation, when their savings account shows a few $100s of interest, when their investments start to generate dividends, or when they realize their habits are finally paying off. The sprout stage is both motivating and dangerous. On one hand, seeing results energizes you. You feel proud, encouraged, and willing to keep going. On the other hand, the returns are still small, so small that if you are not careful, you will become frustrated. For example, an investor who puts aside $200 a month might see only $100 in interest at the end of the year. That $100 feels tiny compared to the sacrifice they made. Some people look at that number and say, "All this for just $100?" And they quit. Others, however, smile at that $100 because they know it is proof of life. They know that if it worked on $200 a month, it will explode with $2,000 or $20,000 a month. What separates success from failure here is perspective. If you measure your results only in short-term numbers, you will feel disappointed. If you measure your results in terms of progress and proof, you will feel unstoppable. The sprout stage is less about financial returns and more about psychological reinforcement. It teaches you that consistency works. It confirms that the soil was fertile, that the roots were worth building, and that growth is not a myth. This stage is also where many people make their first mistakes. They see their money growing and become tempted to spend it. They pull out their investments to buy something flashy, destroying years of progress. Or they start chasing faster returns, jumping from one investment to another, thinking they can outsmart compounding. But a sprout is fragile. Pull it too soon, neglect it, or plant it in too many different soils, and it dies. Patience remains your most important asset. The small returns are not the point, the proof is. And once you see the proof, your only job is to protect it and continue watering. Phase 4. The growth stage. The growth stage is where compounding begins to feel real. The sprouts that once looked small and fragile now start to take shape. The returns you earn are no longer trivial, they are noticeable. You look at your portfolio and see hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars generated in growth. You see your wealth curve moving upward, not just in theory but in reality. This is the stage where many people finally start believing in the process. Momentum is everything in this phase. At first, you were carrying compounding on your back. You were the one saving, contributing, and doing all the heavy lifting. But now, compounding starts to push back. Your money is working for you. It is creating more money. The hours you put into building your habits, the sacrifices you made early, the discipline you showed when results felt invisible, all of it begins to pay off. You are no longer climbing uphill. The slope begins to tilt in your favor. What makes the growth stage so powerful is that it creates a feedback loop. Seeing visible, meaningful results motivates you to keep going. You save more, invest more, or double down on your habits because now you believe. And because you contribute more, your compounding accelerates even further. Success creates confidence, and confidence fuels more success. This is how small beginnings transform into unstoppable momentum. But this stage also brings new challenges. The danger here is complacency. Because your money is growing on its own, you may feel tempted to stop contributing, to coast, or to think you have made it. Some people even take on unnecessary risks, thinking they are invincible because their investments have been growing. Others let lifestyle inflation eat away at their progress, spending more as they earn more, and slowing their compounding curve. The key to thriving in this stage is discipline. Just because the tree is growing does not mean you stop watering it. In fact, this is the time to protect your habits even more fiercely. Automate your contributions, avoid unnecessary debt, reinvest your gains, and resist the temptation to pull money out prematurely. The growth stage is when your system is finally paying you back. Do not sabotage it. Because the next phase, acceleration, is where everything changes. Phase 5, the acceleration stage. The acceleration stage is the tipping point. It is the moment when your wealth curve bends upward in a way that feels almost surreal. Growth is no longer slow, steady, and incremental. It begins to snowball. Your money is making more money than you are. The returns from your portfolio exceed your yearly contributions. The dividends, interest, or appreciation you earn in a single year might equal or surpass what you worked so hard to save in the past. This is the stage where compounding stops feeling like theory and starts feeling like magic. To understand why this happens, consider the rule of 72. This simple rule states that if you divide 72 by your annual rate of return, you will know how long it takes for your money to double. For example, if your investments earn 8% a year, your money doubles every 9 years. At first, those doubles feel small. $1,000 becomes $2,000, then $4,000. But eventually, those doubles explode. $125,000 becomes $250,000, then $500,000, then $1 million. The math does not just grow, it bends, accelerating faster and faster with each cycle. The experience of this stage is thrilling. You look at your statements and feel shocked by how quickly the numbers climb. What once felt impossible now feels inevitable. But with that thrill comes danger. The danger of overconfidence, greed, or arrogance. Many people, upon reaching this stage, begin to think they are smarter than the system. They start timing markets, chasing risky bets, or increasing their spending dramatically because they feel untouchable. This is how fortunes are lost. The truth is, the acceleration stage is where compounding becomes self-sustaining. It no longer needs massive contributions from you, but it still requires protection. Your job now is to safeguard your system, keep reinvesting, avoid emotional decisions, and stay the course even when markets fluctuate. Pulling out your money too soon is like cutting down a tree just as it starts to bear fruit. The acceleration stage rewards those who trust the process, not those who try to outsmart it. This stage is also where financial independence becomes real. Your compounding may now cover your living expenses, allowing you to step back from work, reduce stress, or pursue passions without worrying about survival. For many, this is life-changing, but it is only possible because you endured the earlier stages, the planting, the roots, the invisible growth. This stage is not an accident. It is the inevitable reward of patience. And yet, even here, the journey is not over. What comes next is the explosion stage, when compounding breaks through every ceiling you thought existed. Phase 6. The explosion stage. The explosion stage is where everything changes. For years, compounding felt slow, invisible, and frustrating. Then it became noticeable, and later it started to accelerate. But now, the curve bends so sharply upward that the growth feels unreal. This is the tipping point, the moment when your compounding stops crawling and begins to sprint. The money you once fought to save in small increments now multiplies by itself at breathtaking speed. At this stage, the returns from your portfolio often exceed your annual salary. If you're earning $60,000 a year at your job, your investments may now grow by $70,000, $80,000, or even $100,000 in a single year without you lifting a finger. What once took you years of labor to accumulate is now generated automatically through the power of time and mathematics. This is the stage where you finally grasp why compounding is called the eighth wonder of the world. The explosion stage feels miraculous, but it is not magic. It is math, working consistently over decades. The reason so few people ever reach it is not because it is rare. It's because they quit before arriving. Compounding requires years of patience before it rewards you with exponential growth. People pull out their money too soon, chase quick returns, or give up in frustration. They sacrifice the explosion stage for short-term gratification. But for those who endure, the explosion is both thrilling and dangerous. Thrilling because the wealth you once dreamed of suddenly becomes tangible. Dangerous because the sudden growth can tempt you into reckless decisions. Many people, upon reaching this stage, feel invincible. They start to overspend, take unnecessary risks, or believe that nothing can stop their wealth from growing. This is where discipline matters most. The explosion stage is not a time to relax. It is a time to double down on the systems that got you here. The tipping point is not just about money. It's also about mindset. You realize that you no longer need to fight for every dollar. Compounding has taken over. You are not just financially secure, you are financially powerful. The explosion stage is proof that patience, consistency, and faith were worth it all along. But what comes next is even greater. Freedom. Phase 7. The freedom stage. The freedom stage is the point at which compounding liberates you from the grind. You are no longer trading time for money. Your investments, assets, or systems generate enough to cover your lifestyle. You wake up in the morning and realize that your survival no longer depends on working a job you dislike, reporting to a boss you resent, or sacrificing your health for a paycheck. Your wealth works for you now. This stage is often described as financial independence, but it's more than numbers. It's a psychological transformation. Freedom is the absence of fear. It is the ability to make choices based on desire, not desperation. When compounding covers your bills, you are free to pursue passion projects, explore new ventures, or simply rest without guilt. You can choose work because you love it, not because you need it. That is a level of control over life that very few ever experience. The freedom stage is also where the meaning of wealth begins to shift. In earlier stages, money was about survival, security, and growth. Now, it becomes about purpose. You start asking deeper questions. What do I want my life to stand for? How do I want to use my wealth to shape my legacy? What impact do I want to have on others? Compounding, at this point, has given you the gift of time and choice. What you do with it defines who you truly are. But freedom also comes with responsibility. If you become careless, lifestyle inflation can eat away at your compounding. If you become reckless, risky investments can undo decades of progress. If you become complacent, your system can stagnate. Freedom requires wisdom. It is not the finish line. It is the gateway to a different kind of journey. The freedom stage is where life stops being about making a living and starts being about designing a life. Compounding is no longer a tool to survive. It is a partner that works silently in the background, ensuring your wealth continues to grow even while you sleep. Phase 8. The legacy stage. The legacy stage is where compounding outlives you. It is the point at which the wealth you've built becomes bigger than your own needs, bigger than your own lifetime. It is no longer about you. It is about impact. Compounding at this stage ensures that your children, your grandchildren, your community, or even causes you believe and benefit from the systems you created. When most people think about legacy, they think about inheritance, a pile of money passed down. But true legacy is not just about handing over wealth. It is about handing over wisdom, systems, and habits that allow that wealth to keep compounding. If you leave millions to your children but fail to teach them the principles of patience, discipline, and long-term thinking, the fortune will vanish. But if you pass down both money and mindset, the compounding continues long after you are gone. The legacy stage also applies beyond finances. As you already know, knowledge compounds, reputation compounds, habits and relationships also compound. Every lesson you teach, every book you write, every seed of wisdom you plant in someone else has the potential to grow exponentially. Think of the ideas of great thinkers, the inventions of innovators, the stories of leaders. They all compound across generations, influencing people who never met them. Your wealth is only one part of your legacy. Your influence is another. The danger in this stage is believing it happens automatically. Legacy must be designed. You must create systems, trusts, wills, businesses, investments that ensure your compounding continues. You must teach your children and those who follow you to value patience, to respect growth, and to resist the temptation of shortcuts. Legacy is intentional, not accidental. The beauty of the legacy stage is that it transforms compounding into something eternal. Long after you are gone, the seeds you planted, the roots you built, the tree you grew continues to bear fruit. Your wealth funds opportunities. Your wisdom shapes decisions. Your influence ripples across time. This is the ultimate reward of compounding, not just financial freedom, but the chance to leave the world better than you found it. Phase 9. The Eternal Stage. The eternal stage is where compounding transcends you. It is the point where the systems you've built, the wealth you've accumulated, and the wisdom you've passed down continue to grow even after you are no longer here. This is the stage where compounding becomes unstoppable, not because of your active contributions anymore, but because of the structures and habits you left behind. At this level, compounding is no longer about doubling money or reaching financial milestones. It becomes about perpetuity, the idea that your efforts ripple across generations and across lives you may never meet. Think of the great fortunes that continue to fund universities, charities, and foundations centuries after their founders have passed. Think of the books, inventions, and philosophies of long-gone thinkers that continue to shape the way the world works. That is eternal compounding in action. Wealth, ideas, or influence that cannot be stopped because it is locked into systems larger than any single human being. The eternal stage requires vision. It is not about handing someone a pile of money. It is about designing vehicles of unstoppable growth, trusts that keep generating income for your family, businesses that live beyond the founder, charitable foundations that grow and fund causes, intellectual work that compounds in value as it's passed from reader to reader, generation to generation. The wealth may start financial, but at this stage it becomes spiritual and cultural. You are no longer compounding dollars, you are compounding destiny. But reaching this stage does not happen by accident. It requires intention. Many people grow wealthy but fail to plan, and their fortunes disappear within a single generation. Studies show that most family wealth is gone within 3 generations because it was not paired with systems or wisdom. The eternal stage is not just about leaving money behind. It is about embedding principles of patience, long-term thinking, and stewardship into those who will carry the torch after you. What makes this stage so extraordinary is the realization that compounding is infinite. While your lifetime is limited, compounding is not. As long as time moves forward, compounding has room to expand. The only question is whether you will structure your wealth, your knowledge, and your influence in such a way that they continue to grow without you. The eternal stage is the highest reward of compounding. It is the transformation of temporary effort into permanent impact. The truth about compounding is that it does not care who you are, where you come from, or what your past looks like. It only cares whether you start and whether you stay consistent. The wealth curve bends in favor of those who plant early, nurture their growth, endure the invisible seasons, and allow time to do its heavy lifting. Everyone faces the same choice: spend life chasing quick wins and instant gratification, or commit to the slow, deliberate, and exponential path that leads to freedom, security, and impact. Compounding is not just a financial principle, it is a life principle, one that rewards patience, discipline, and vision. At the end of the day, the question is not whether compounding works, it always does, but whether you will allow it to work for you or watch it build wealth, freedom, and legacy for someone else.